Do UFO abductions happen in real life, or are they just a myth? Reports of missing time, strange marks, and eerie lights in the sky have haunted us for decades, and the X-Files turned those whispers into terrifying possibilities. But what if the show was tapping into something very real, just beneath the surface? In this X-Files inspired episode, we're using tarot to investigate the abduction phenomenon. What's really happening during these encounters? Who or what is behind them? And what aren't we being told? Let's pull back the veil and see what the cards reveal. Hello everyone, welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time on this channel. We're going to get into X-Files episode 7, X-Files Inspired, starting with question 1. What is the true nature of UFO abductions? And we're going to start out with oracle cards because they do not read my mind. They start the story out very well. So let's see what this first card is today. Ooh, if I can catch it. We have terror at midnight. That kind of tells the whole story there, doesn't it? UFO abductions in the middle of the night, terror at midnight. From the stories that people have shared about UFO abductions, it's a pretty scary experience, at least for the majority. So let's see what the second card is here. For love of the game. So it looks like the UFO abductions, again, what is the true nature of UFO abductions? It looks like the aliens seem to really enjoy, I don't know, do you want to say terrorizing humans? Or for whatever reason, they just really love abducting humans in the middle of the night. Then we have running on empty. This is almost saying, with running on empty, it's almost saying that the people who are abducted are given signs or have signs close to the time of their abduction. If they notice them, it's almost like they're being given a warning. Hey, we're coming to get you tonight. Be prepared, kind of thing. So let's see where it goes from there. Backdraft. Looks like pretty much if they're not paying attention to the signs, if they don't notice the signs, then chances are when that door opens to whatever room they happen to be in, what they see coming through is absolutely shocking. Terror at midnight. And, you know, you can see from this card, that's a firefighter. Think of it in a different shape, coming through a door with the light of, say, a UFO shining behind them, and how terrifying that would be. How absolutely terrifying. Rockin' pneumonia and the boogie woogie flu. And I'm going to say the reason that they do this is because they want to do medical testing, physical movement testing, see if they can give you a fever, take away a fever, any kind of medical anything. They just very much enjoy testing humans. 7 years in Tibet. And steel magnolias. This has been going on for a very long time. A very long time. And it's almost as though, with 7 years in Tibet, it's almost as though they're saying they will terrorize a single human for at least 7 years. Don't know if there's fact to that, but at least 7 years. And there's a group, I mean a pretty large group of people who have had these experiences. When they find each other, they stick to each other solidly, because nobody else really understands what they've been through. So the true nature of UFO abductions is to, number one, terrorize humans. Number two, because the aliens enjoy doing it, but they do attempt to give you forewarning notice if you pay attention to the signs. And then they show up, just as promised, for the purpose, literally, of medical testing, which is the rockin' pneumonia and the boogie woogie flu here. All right, so let's see what Tarot has to add to this. We have the Sun. Once that clock strikes midnight, and that's just metaphorical, strikes midnight, suddenly there is absolute clarity in the minds of the people who are being taken. There is no doubt anymore that there are aliens out there. Ten of Wands. If in fact aliens have imaginations, they take it to the limit with their imaginations. They are just fired up as can be to do these abductions. It's like the highlight of their lives to do these abductions. And there might even, since it is like for love of the game, it may very well be for the purposes of trophies. Who shows the best evidence of, something specific? Wouldn't that be weird? Eight of Swords. Yeah, they're letting you know with signs that they're going to come and capture you for a little while. It's not that you couldn't get away. You maybe could if you knew that those signs were what was going to happen. Maybe you could sleep someplace else. Maybe you could stay awake. Maybe however you could avoid being captured. And, the Eight of Swords is where your mind is kind of clenched, where your mind is telling you there's no escape. Well, they're trying to give you the option. I suppose that's part of the game. Try to give you the option and see if they can get you to play. Six of Wands. The second that door opens, they are recognized in the light. Everything that your imagination maybe had put out there, is exactly what you're seeing. The Moon. There's a lot about human physiology that they don't know. They have little bits and pieces, but that's why they want to keep on testing, because they want to know everything there is to know. They don't want to deal with hidden things, and it's not telling us why as yet. The Magician. It's almost like with the Magician that 7 years is about all the human body and mind can take. So after 7 years, I think they put something into the mind that maybe erases everything, as though none of it happened. Because 7 years in Tibet, we're learning how to clear our minds, how to live in peace. So I feel like after 7 years, that's what they do. They kind of erase everything, so again, we can live peacefully. Temperance. These people, when they gather together, they balance one another out. They help make life seem more balanced. If you think about it, if you're feeling like you've lost your mind, nobody believes what has happened to you. You've been abducted. Nobody believes it. These people bring balance to your life. These people who have been through what you have been through. Okay, so let's pick these up and move on to question 2. Seems like there's a lot of things that are done for love of the game. I've come across this in a number of readings. It is, everything seems to be a game. Something fun that humans are used for. We must be very, very entertaining, huh? Okay, so let us put the rest of these back. And as you can see, I do this a little slowly, but I make sure that since the shuffling is minimal, I want to make sure that the cards are mixed regardless, which is why I do what I do in putting them away. All right, so question 2. Who or what is behind these abductions? Now, we ended up assuming that it's aliens with Terror at Midnight, which was the first card out. But is it? Is it somebody that is pretending to be an alien? Is it actually an alien? Let's find out who or what is behind these abductions. Okay, we have what dreams may come. This is a card that tells me things aren't really exactly as they appear. It's kind of what dreams are. It's a lot of symbology, but also, you know, in this movie, What Dreams May Come, things really aren't as they appear a lot of times. People don't look like themselves. They can be whatever they want. The night they drove old Dixie down. I'm going to keep going on this one. I feel like there's somebody standing and watching or keeping track of what's happening. Somehow they're able to see everything that's going on in these abductions. Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. See, in The Birds, it was something, the horror came from birds. Objects that we wouldn't normally, or objects, living things that we wouldn't normally be afraid of. However, when they flocked together and started attacking, then they were terrifying. There it is again for love of the game. So far, it has not shared with us who or what. We do know that things aren't exactly as they seem, which means most people think that abductions are done by aliens. Maybe not. Maybe it is actually something else. And being driven by someone specific to make it as terrifying as possible. I think they sometimes use many different tactics to make things terrifying. For love of the game. Rear Window. The Butcher's Wife. And Danger Zone. So with Rear Window, again, this is kind of an indication that somebody's watching. That's part of the game. Almost like if you think of Hunger Games as an example, people could see everything that was going on in Hunger Games from their home screens, their home televisions, if you'd like to call it that. They could see everything. I feel like this is kind of the same thing. This abduction is kind of the same thing. Those people who are doing the abductions seem to play it off with the butcher's wife. They seem to play it off as though they're absolutely innocent. They have nothing to do with it. They have these very mysterious personalities, but it's more something that humans who would see someone like this would look at them and go, wow, I wish I could be like them. They're so magical. They just seem so magical. But they're saying, danger. This is definitely a danger zone situation. So who or what? It's not as it appears at all. And there is somebody who sets it all up, watches it happen. And I think they're also the ones that control whatever horror is going to take place with the people that are abducted. People are allowed to watch from afar. Okay, we have binoculars here. They're allowed to watch from afar. And to those watching, it appears to be very, very magical, almost like a show. Almost like, well, The Butcher's Wife or Bewitched or something like that. There's a lot of magic that seems to be in these abductions that these people are watching. But these abductions are dangerous to humans, for sure. It's a dangerous situation. So let us see what tarot has to add. Okay, so we have the Hermit. Yeah, whatever it is that you have in your mind about what or who is behind the abductions, think some more. What dreams may come, say it's not what you think. 8 of Pentacles. Yeah, I think this person or persons who sets up the specific abduction, they do a great deal of detail work and planning. And they've done it for so long that they're almost masters at what they do and how they do it. They have to make it colorful for the people who are watching. And if you see, look how colorful this butterfly is that they're painting the spots on. They've worked at it for a long time to get it, and still work at it to get it the way they think these people will enjoy it. 5 of Wands. Yeah, it's like a chess game, trying to figure out what they can do to the people who are abducted, how they can abduct them in different ways, what they can make them go through. It's all a part of imagination. Whatever they can think up, they can do. The Sun. Yeah, for them, this is this makes them very happy to do these abductions. It makes them very happy to put on this show. Queen of Pentacles. For some reason, it's almost as though whoever's doing this absolutely loves the human race, which is why they love to see. It's almost like how resilient the human race is. How they can go through situations and then turn around and pick themselves up and move on with life. It is amazing to these people how we know how to just naturally care for ourselves, how we can nurture ourselves back to health. It blows their mind. 10 of Pentacles. Magic is their legacy, for sure. It is what they are leaving behind for generations. It is this game. And all the research and all the experiments and research. Don't think they don't keep track. Then we have the 9 of Pentacles. Yeah, This game is dangerous for humans. It really is. But I think it also creates an energy for life. In other words, Nine of Pentacles is about living well, having everything that you need. And I feel as though what they're saying here is that these dangerous situations make humans strive to become, let's say, wealthy enough to somehow fight it off. If I have enough money, if I have a bigger house that I can have security in, I can't be abducted. Nothing can take me. So it makes them strive forward. Even if it's not an ideal way or reason to have to strive forward. It does make them strive forward. Okay, so let's pick up the cards and move on to question 3. And for those of you who are new to my channel, now and then you will be hearing strange noises in the background of my videos. That is my Chihuahua, and he is snoring in the background. He lays in my room by me and snores. So that is what you will be hearing oftentimes in the background, probably in every video I do. Okay, moving on to question 3. What do abductees experience during encounters? Now, we already know that they do medical testing with the Rockin' Pneumonia and the Boogie Woogie Flu card, and that they find terrifying ways to torment, like with the birds. So let's see what else abductees experience. Can't pick it up. Sister Act. I almost feel as though they change us somehow. Turn us into somebody that we're not. Maybe, yeah. Not sure on that. Radio. Okay, so I think they change things about us. At least I don't think it's permanent changing, but they change things about us. Perhaps they can change our skin pigment color. Maybe they can change our eye color. Maybe they can change how our teeth are arranged, that kind of thing. And I feel like they also attempt to change our frequencies. And frequency is something that we are all born with. And each person is born with a specific frequency, very similar to having a fingerprint. Your fingerprint is unlike anyone else's in the world. No one has a fingerprint like you. It is the same with the frequency. Nobody has the frequency that you have, that you're born with. And yeah, I think this is kind of saying it is aliens, or at least that's what we believe it is aliens. But this card is also one in the past. So I feel like it's all actually saying in the past it was aliens. And still probably is to some degree, but, you know, it's not really telling us who else is involved. Pushover. I feel like they can work on us to see how angry we can get, to see how cold we can get, to see how hot we can get. I think they mess with our emotions, and they also mess with our temperatures, our blood pressure, our blood sugar, different things within the body. It says don't look back. Mosquito Coast, and Bicentennial Man. I think they end our lives and bring us back, maybe over and over again. They put us in situations where we are barraged by bugs, perhaps, or reptiles, or such as spiders and snakes and things like that, that people don't usually react very well to. So they do that. And sometimes I think they do things with our organs. Maybe they take us back home with an organ that has been turned to like metal. Or, I mean, that's kind of a stretch, because that would be difficult for us to survive, I think, without being in the element they have us in when they're doing their testing. But with Bicentennial Man, he is robotic, a robot striving to be human, and he slowly replaces parts of himself for human things, if I remember correctly. So maybe they remove certain parts and send us home that way, see how well we do, and then bring us back if we're not doing well and replace it and take something else. So yeah, it's a lot of very, very nasty testing that they're doing. Let's see what tarot has to add. We have the Magician. Yeah, the things that they do, the way that they change like the skin pigment color and the eye color and hair color and things like that, seems to be pretty magical. They seem to be able to just manifest with the mind. Think it, it happens. The Fool. I think they're trying to replace or change the frequency that we're born with, to try to give us a frequency that's new, but they never can. I don't believe they can ever really get rid of the original frequency. So they're kind of foolish for trying, but they do try. But they are trying to give us a new frequency. Maybe eventually they'll figure out how. Five of Cups. Five of Cups is a card of loss. So I wonder if the aliens lost to someone else in the abduction department, and they no longer can mess with us. So it's somebody else doing it. Maybe another race of aliens. I don't know. Three of Wands. Yeah, they have all kinds of things planned. Their imaginations are incredible when it comes to ways to test us. And again, making us cold-blooded, making us hot-blooded, making us cold, making us hot. Taking our emotions and turning them completely upside down. Their imagination about us grows all the time. The Sun. Yeah, they take us back to spirit, or they make us unalive, which then we go home and we're very happy, even if it is very briefly. But we have clarity about passing when we come back, if they allow us to keep our memories. Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, the kind of bug or reptile or creature that they bring in to torture us changes all the time. You never know what you're going to end up with when they decide to do that. And King of Wands almost looks like here that they're attempting to make the ultimate human, that eventually they want to make the ultimate human, but they have to take us through all this testing to figure out what works and what doesn't, until they can reach the point of, well, with Bicentennial Man, a lot of the humans in there were having organs replaced so that they could live a lot longer. Whereas Bicentennial Man wanted to be human. But yeah, I think that they're messing with this to see if they can create an ultimate human. Interesting. All right, so let's get these cards cleaned up and move on to question 4. And if you are enjoying my content, please feel free to like and subscribe, and perhaps share with other people that you think would have an interest in this subject matter. Also, it'd be great if you would comment. Maybe you're seeing something in the cards that you feel like I've missed, or you're reading them a little bit differently. I would love to hear your take on the cards that are here with the question that has been asked for each layout. So feel free to share. All right, so moving on to question 4. How do these abductions affect all of us? How do these abductions affect all of us? That's providing we all know about these abductions. Not everybody runs in that kind of a circle. Midnight Train to Georgia. I think that's exactly what this is saying. Not everybody knows about these abductions. Some people are too busy with their lives to even consider, anything like that. E.T. I think because of shows like this, like E.T., where the alien is very sweet and lovable, I think a lot of people, if they think about aliens or anything like that at all, they think of them as nice aliens. Instead of aliens that might actually do abductions. Volcano, hotter than hell. But the fact of it is, it's saying here, is that alien abductions are hotter than hell. More and more are happening all the time. Whether people are open to it or not open to it, it really doesn't matter. And it is a hot subject too, with a lot of controversy. A lot of controversy. The night they drove old Dixie down, again. Since somebody's running the show, it does definitely affect all of us. We've got the net, and I think they find who they're going to take by the spying, allegedly, by the way. Take the money and run. Or maybe somebody can come to them and say, hey, I'll give you this much money if you'll take this person. Vertigo. And whoever gets taken, their lives are put into a spin. Their lives, are suddenly not their own anymore. Even when they're returned, still feels like they're in a spin. So let's see what tarot has to add. Five of Pentacles. It is a lot easier for some people to just pretend like nothing is going on, nothing at all. Their minds just can't wrap around the fact that there are people who are living through something like this. They just can't do it. They just want to live their simple lives and just pretend like none of it is happening. Three of Pentacles. And it looks like there's more than one alien race that is involved with taking humans. Page of Pentacles. For some of these, it's new. It's a new game for some, which is what keeps it very popular, keeps it hot. King of Wands again. Yeah, there's a kingpin here. There is somebody who is in charge of all of this. Ace of Wands. There's many, many ways to find the people that they wish to abduct. The net just shows, you know, you can be seen on your computer, you can be seen on your phone, you can be seen in the television, you can be, all of this alleged, of course. The Hermit. Some of this, I think, with the take the money and run, some of the abductions that take place where suddenly people aren't there anymore. There, it maybe looks like they went off to be on their own, like to a retreat or something like that, when in fact, no, they've been taken and maybe will come back from an abduction. Four of Cups. They're selective about who they take. In most cases, they're selective about who they take. And I should say who they take down the rabbit hole, so to speak. All right, so let us pick these up and we'll move on to question 5. And as for how do these abductions affect us all? It is, you know, it's just saying here, it is different for everybody. It is totally different. Some people would rather keep their heads buried in the sand and, you know, not believe that there's any aliens out there that could, you know, do that kind of thing to the human race or human people. But we're affected by it for sure because we're always allegedly under surveillance. Always. All right. So we'll get these put away and move on to 5. There are 6 questions in total in this episode. Stay. All right, so question 5. What secrets are being hidden from the public? What secrets are being hidden from the public? Specifically about alien abduction, I'm assuming, since that's what this episode is about. The whirlwind, the dizziness that it causes in a person's life once they've experienced an abduction. The stories are weaved in such a way that you really can't keep track of what might be true, what might not be true. It's like going down the rabbit hole. You believe it's this, and then it's this, and then something else is presented, and then it's this, and keeps going like that. A lot of the information is frozen, so only specific people ever see any kind of record that this kind of thing even happens. And this could also be one of the things that's being hidden from the public is For those people that do go down the rabbit hole, are actually abducted, maybe they don't come out and they're frozen. Hidalgo. For those people who are looking for the truth of all of this, they just have to keep at it. There are people who, I mean, nothing's going to stop them from trying to find the truth. Nothing. So that's just pretty much the only thing that you can do, because again, it's like going down the rabbit hole. Finding one tunnel, then another tunnel, then another tunnel. Airport. And it can be a very shocking experience. Very shocking and possibly dangerous if you get too close, perhaps. Possibly dangerous to your health, so to speak. The Blob. Twilight Zone. Earthquake. So it looks like, again, shocking to the system. The information that you find, these people who really want to look into it, the ones who want to know what is actually being hidden from the public, it's covered very, very well, this information. It is covered so well. They can make you feel, as you're going through all of this, again, like you're going down the rabbit hole, but it can begin to feel like you don't even know what's real. What's truly real about what you're finding, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what is real. It just seems like an episode of The Twilight Zone. And there's a lot of times if you get too close, then an event takes place, like an earthquake or a flood or something like that, so that you can be distracted from searching for the information that you are searching for. And you maybe are too busy for quite some time, and then they can move files around. They can, yeah, if you're getting too close. So let's see what tarot has to share. We have Justice. Yeah, if you want to get to the truth of all of this, you're going to have to go down some pretty crazy rabbit holes. The last ditch situation, the last ditch for whoever's running the show, that King of Wands, for whoever's running the show here, their last ditch to sidetrack. They don't want, definitely don't want us to know that people are frozen. The Emperor. Yeah, the people who are really searching into this, they want to find the main guy. They really do. They want to find who's in charge of everything. And thus far, that has not at all been the case. They have not been able to, but, you know, they're persistent. They haven't given up. They won't give up. The Empress. There's more and more ways that whoever is running the show has more and more ways to shock you. They're so creative. They're just insanely creative. And ways to make sure that you're going further down the rabbit hole where you don't want to be. And they're very tricky. Things are covered very, very well, and they're hard to get through. They're magicians, they're tricksters. They know how to, well, and I think they maybe have magic to move things around as well when you're getting too close. Five of Swords, yeah, they can make you feel as though you're losing your mind. That you're in the twilight zone, not knowing, not knowing what's real. I mean, if you think about it, here's the twilight zone. We've got a guy looking in a mirror and he sees a chimp. That can be, just think about evolution story. There's controversy about that. Nobody really knows. And then when someone gets too close, they've got a lot of information and they're really quite getting too close to the truth. An event will take place that might isolate that person. Maybe communication will be taken out in the area that they live in due to floods or earthquakes or something like that, where they will be unable to communicate what they're finding. There's a lot hidden from the public here, a lot. And if you get too close, well, things change. Okay, so now let's move on to the last question in this episode. Get all this picked up here. I'm going to try, I have a tickle in my throat and have had to stop and cough to try and get that tickle out of there. I'll try to make sure I get that edited out of the video, but if I can't, please excuse. I mean, I might not be able to get all of it out, but I will try. All right, so question 6. What warning or message comes from these events? What warning or message comes from these events? And they're talking about abductions. Summer. Going to pull another one on that. That's not very clear to me. What warning or message comes from these events? Sister Act. To the people who do get abducted, I feel as though, number one, life becomes very, very precious to them. They want to grow. They want to become something. Maybe, if nothing else, to share their story. They want to become something, someone. For many, they never share what happens to them. They just pretend like nothing ever happened. They are not themselves. They can't be. They don't feel like they can be. Hidalgo again. Patience is needed. For some people who have been abducted, they've written books. They have told their story on talk shows, paranormal talk shows, where it's more accepted. And they just have to be patient for that time to come for them, where they can, come out from being in hiding, where maybe they've been for quite some time, and start to live a little again. Aaron Brockovich. When they can tell their story, this is a time, or at least by telling their story, they're getting one step closer to revealing the bad guy, or revealing the person who is in charge of all this, the King of Wands. Fly like an eagle. Casablanca. The company she keeps. When they can tell their story, that's when they can fly free again, because it brings them together with like-minded people, brings them together with people that understand what they've been through and have ridden that emotional tidal wave. So this is what the people, the abductees, most of them tend to go through. It's what they want to live. They really want to make something of themselves so that they can come out of hiding. A lot of them are being so patient. There's so many challenges that they have to get through before they can feel like they're in a position to really tell their story. Once they do, they feel so free. It's like a weight off. And they know that there's other people who are going through the same thing. They're meeting those people now. And they're all riding that emotional tidal wave. So with what warning or message comes from these events? Patience. Patience is it, because you will have your chance to tell your story. You'll know when the time is right to tell your story, to come out of hiding and tell your story. Let's see if Tarot will give any more information about this question. 9 of Pentacles. Yeah, I'm thinking some people are looking at this as a way to make their life better. Because if they do tell their story, they might actually gain something. We have Ace of Cups. Yeah, when they're in hiding, when these people are in hiding, they go through the gamut of emotional stuff. It's unlimited. If you were taken and tested upon and you could remember it, and you were taken like that, remember the 7 years in Tibet? For 7 years. How many times? Who knows? But if you were taken once a week for 7 years, even once a year for 7 years would be bad enough, and tested upon, and you remembered the things that were done to you, you would go through a gamut of emotions like no other. The Star. Yeah, keep your hope. For those who have been abducted, keep your hope and be patient. There will be time for you to tell your story. But you have to wait to tell your story. And this is also part of the Ace of Cups, the crazy emotions that you're going through. Because you don't want to sound like you're crazy when you tell your story. You want your emotions to be even keeled at that point. So you need to get past feeling as though something's been taken away from you. Something. You just need to cope with the loss first. And then once you have a grip on that, you can tell your story. 8 of Wands. You're going to fly like an eagle, and you're going to fly fast once this is all off your shoulder. It's going to be news to many people. It's going to reach many people. Just think of an emergency news break or something, the sound that it makes on the television, or that's the kind of thing. It's going to be one of those. The Tower. This is the aha moment that you're not alone. People are going to respond to your story. It's where you realize that You never really had to hide at all, because there's a lot of people like you out there that have been abducted. Eight of Swords. And you have the tidal wave that you have ridden, the emotional tidal wave that you have ridden is feeling as though you have been a victim. And realizing with all these people that really you don't have to have that victim status. Don't stay sequestered for too long, because again, you have something to share. You have something unique to share, just as all these other people who have been abducted do as well. So what warning or message comes from these abductions? Get out there and tell your story. Talk to people, like-minded people. Talk to people who have been in the same situation, who have been abducted. Because everybody has a story to tell, and the weight that's lifted off of you by telling what's going on or what happened to you is going to make life a lot better for you. So that is it for episode 7 of this X-Files inspired episode. So now I'm going to give you a teaser for episode 8. Next time, we're heading into the fields, literally. Strange shapes, geometric codes, and eerie silence. In episode 8, we'll use tarot to uncover the mystery of crop circles. Who or what is making them, and why? So there is the teaser for episode 8. On the screen, you'll also see the show schedule and times. As you can see, I do 2 other shows every week. So if you enjoy the X-Files inspired episodes, you might enjoy the other 2 as well. Check them out if you feel inclined to do so. And with all that said, have an absolutely great week, and come back and see me again next week. Take care.